Disclaimer, I do not dislike CinemaSins, and that is not a lie. For my next Everything Wrong with CinemaSins video, I'm going to be sending their video on Halloween, and I would like to give a thanks and dedication to Thomas the Terrific for requesting this video. Enjoy the video, everyone.
So Carpenter was already getting his name above the title before he even had one hit? This would be the equivalent of M. Night Shyamalan's Sixth Sense.
Well, let's talk about the outcome of the first film that John Carpenter directed, shall we? While Dark Star was at first unsuccessful with audiences, it was actually well received by critics and was shown in theaters for as late as 6 years. And in the early 1980s, the home media revolution helped the film achieve cult classic status. What I'm saying is John Carpenter had already made a movie that did well before this movie came out.
Exactly 22 days before the Kennedy assassination. Coincidence?
I mean, yeah, I guess you could say that it is a coincidence, but why is that a sin?
Jesus, could this house look more uninviting to trick-or-treaters? The Myers couldn't even bother to put the jack-o'-lantern on the steps so people could see it better from the street. This family can't do pumpkin placement, correct?
I'd have to disagree because of where my dad and I put our jack-o'-lanterns outside. We never really put them on the stairs, but rather next to them on the right or left side.
Also, after the terrible sex performance, Michael's gonna kill his sister?
Yes.
Michael starts stabbing his sister, and then he turns to his right, and what? Is he stabbing the air now?
No, he's still stabbing Judith, we're just not seeing it here.
Well, Dave, we just found our son standing here with a bloody butcher knife in his hand, but let's just stand and stare.
Well, they're just standing because they're stunned that their son brutally murdered his own sister.
Man, it'd be weird if this simple shot of a matchbook inspired a white trash-themed reboot of this series almost 30 years later. Thank God that never happens.
So why is this a sin then?
I don't care if he's from hell or not. This guy doesn't have the strength to open palm shatter a car window like that.
But the movie said that he was able to.
Also, how the f*** does Michael know how to drive a car? He's been in this joint since he was 6. Did they put him in the student driver program?
In the novelization of this film, Michael learns how to drive by watching Dr. Loomis drive as he drove him to various hearings over the years.
He can't drive a car. He was doing very well last night. Maybe someone around here gave him lessons.
Listen here, Dr. Loomis. I already seen that. I know this sinning thing is a joke to you, but I take it goddamn seriously, and so do certain Hollywood directors.
So isn't that a possible answer to when you asked how Michael was able to drive the car earlier?
Man, it'd be weird if Dr. Wynn, who's only in this one scene, would show up in, say, the 6th film in this franchise, and we'd find out he's a member of a weird cult that worships Michael Myers. Thank God that never happens.
So again, why is this a sin then?
This is a great shot, and I'd remove a sin, except how did Michael know Laurie would be sitting next to a window for him to stalk so perfectly?
Well, since Michael saw Laurie and Tommy at his house, he likely began stalking them, which is how he knows where she goes to school.
No one will be seated during the Michael goes back to the car, starts it, and drives alongside Tommy portion of the movie.
You may not like this part of the film, but that doesn't mean that others do as well, so I'm going to be giving this sin my award. And at the idea of one of my new subscribers, I'm going to add a new counter whenever I give out the award, starting now.
Yeah, Haddonfield seems like the type of culturally relevant town in Illinois where a sign telling you it's 73 miles away would be appropriate.
Well, it's established in this film that the distance from the sanitarium to Haddonfield is 150 miles, so the sign here makes sense to me.
Payphone!
Pointing things out on the screen.
Tickets on sale for what? Just the high school in general? And who would even see the sign? It's practically in a forest.
I agree with the first part of your sin, but for the second part, the sign is set at a spot between the bush and the tree that makes it visible to see.
Hey, jerk! Speed kills!
Michael is literally going drive-by stalking speed, barely faster than you assholes are walking.
Sure, Michael does drive at a slow speed at first, but he begins to drive faster at this point in the film.
Also, there is no way that Michael could have heard anything Annie was saying while in a moving car at that distance.
But the movies said that he did.
I hate a guy with a car and no sense of humor.
That is very specific. It's almost like you're saying you'd like the guy if he didn't own a car, but still had no sense of humor.
Not really, Jer.
I've got 3 choices. Watch the kids sleep, listen to Linda screw around, or talk to you.
I'm starting to think Myers later kills Annie to put her out of her misery.
Well, Annie drops off Lindsay at Laurie's house so that she can hang out with Paul, and then she gets killed. So Michael more so prevented her from hanging out with her boyfriend.
For a movie that is so good at elevating tension and suspense with the use of atmosphere and music, jump scares like this come off even more annoying.
That's just your opinion, which, like I've said before, isn't a sin, and so this sin is also going to be receiving my award.
Trick-or-treat! Trick-or-treat!
Trick-or-treating at 3 in the goddamn afternoon, even if it's like 5 or 6. You are severely limiting your candy haul.
I disagree, because I've seen kids starting to trick-or-treat at 5 to 6 p.m. in San Francisco and Eugene, Oregon.
Rotary phone!
Pointing things out on the screen.
Whoa.
This turns out to be Laurie's friend Annie, who decided to call while her mouth was full of cereal and didn't even bother an attempt to say something.
Oh wow, you're just explaining something in the movie here.
Judith Myers, row 18, plot 20.
During his important search for Michael Myers, Dr. Loomis decides to check out the local cemetery to see if Michael defiled his sister's grave, which somehow takes precedence over checking his old neighborhood first.
Again, just explaining something in the movie.
Why do they do it? Goddamn kids.
Steal tombstones? That's a common occurrence in Haddonfield or anywhere?
That's not what he's saying. The movie establishes that the adults think that kids are making trouble since it's Halloween. And yes, kids is in quotations because they're referring to teenagers, not actually kids.
All they took was some Halloween mask, rope, and a couple of knives.
They stole a Halloween mask at the hardware store?
Yes.
He could have seen inside.
Bullshit random thing that breaks a window at this very moment is random. And bullshit.
Pointing things out on the screen.
What do we do? He's been here once tonight. I think he'll come back. I'm gonna wait for him.
Seriously, this podunk small town can't spare one cop to help Loomis out. By this point, there should be some sort of news about him. He broke out of Smith's Grove, he definitely murdered a guy, and he's clearly back in his old neighborhood. But sure, let's dedicate our entire police force elsewhere. It's Halloween, and somebody stole a mask out of a hardware store after...
Well, Sheriff Brackett does say that he thinks he should get others to help, but Loomis tells him not to. He says that if he does that, Michael will be seen on every street corner and looked for in every house. So he tells Brackett to tell him to say nothing.
Lindsay, get this dog out of the kitchen right now.
Lindsay.
Not a sin here, and also worth getting my award.
Tommy, there's nobody outside.
All day, Laurie's been seeing a scary dude staring at her at school, from his trademark station wagon, from behind this hedge, and in the middle of this laundry. But as soon as Tommy says he sees somebody, Laurie's lady boner over Ben Tramer overrides her concern.
Okay, I know this movie is rated R, but I'm still going to give Jeremy 100 sins since he said boner.
And he spills a little bit of water on herself, and that's as good a reason as any to take off both shirts and her pants in the middle of the kitchen with open windows all around.
No, she spilled butter on herself, not water. Tell me, do you put water on your popcorn instead of butter?
Never mind. Guess you found a hot date.
That was clearly a whimper and not a sound that would make anyone think a dog was okay. And he might be a bigger dick to dogs than Michael, and he kills them and eats them for f***'s sake.
Are you seriously suggesting that killing a dog isn't as bad as not caring about it? The former is clearly worse, my dude.
What about the jack-o'-lantern?
After the movie.
What about the rest of my comic books?
After the jack-o'-lantern.
Jesus, how f***ing long is this night?
Long, because the movie ends while it's still night.
I saw the boogeyman. I saw him outside.
Laurie's disbelief aside, which is bull, by the way, this is what Tommy saw. He saw a dark figure standing out on a lawn that literally could be anyone, but because he's a kid that nobody believes, he's absolutely right about this.
Yeah, he is right about that. So what makes that wrong here?
Lindsay, come out here. Lindsay, I'm in the laundry room. The door won't open.
Lindsay.
That's, again, not a sin, and I'll give this my award as well.
I spilled butter all over my clothes. They're in the wash.
Am I seeing things, or did she simply spill water on her clothes? And it was just a little bit. Like, even if that was butter, it wasn't all over her clothes like she claims.
Yes, like I said earlier, it was butter, not water.
Wait a minute, did Michael have a copy of the key? Or does he know how to use a murder knife to break into cars? And man, Annie didn't even notice. Paul must be the best.
I don't think it matters. This is just the movie building tension up to the part where Michael kills Annie.
What the hell was Michael doing in this car for the last 30 seconds to fog up the windows like that? Actually, scratch that. I'm okay not knowing the answer.
Again, it's to build up the tension.
Also, what's the best way to emote a horrible death? Probably not this.
Okay, so what do you think is the best way to emote a horrible death? And while I've asked that question, I'll share an idea of a death that was emoted well, though it may not be the best.
Tommy picks the most insane moment to play a trick on Lindsay, as it's perfect timing to see Michael carrying Annie's lifeless body into the house next door.
Yeah, so?
Lonnie, get your ass away from there.
Loomis gets his Saved a Kid from Murder Boy Scout badge today.
Another instance of Jeremy seeing something he likes.
Jesus, this might be the least sexy scene since Disclosure, but also some pretty good representation of high school sex.
See the previous sin.
I admit this knife is huge, but how the f*** does it go through Bob's body and into the door behind him, having enough strength to keep him suspended in the air?
Well, if the knife was strong enough to go through Bob's entire body, then it's probably also strong enough to keep him hanging on the door.
Also, remember when Michael took Annie's body into the house? He had to have been setting this up then, and he had no idea Linda and Bob would be showing up. But when he saw them later, did he go back upstairs, hide Annie's body, and wait to kill them before setting it all back up?
Yeah, he probably did, and also while Bob and Linda were having sex, he also took time to set up traps in the places they were hung later on.
I mean, where the f*** was this guy stored so that this could happen? What the f*** is he hanging from? And why did Michael just leave him stuck on the pantry door?
Earlier, the film told us that when Michael robbed the hardware store, a rope was one thing he stole, so that's probably what he's hanging from.
Also, she just broke a leg, arm, both, or is dead, right? No? Okay, carry on.
Yeah, like you just said, she isn't dead, so why is this a sin?
And people are super talented in the Halloween verse at breaking windows with their bare hands.
Yet another instance of Jeremy sinning something he likes.
Stab him in the face! Although, you're right, it probably doesn't matter.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter because Michael would just get back up again.
So let's review. Michael was stabbed by a coat hanger, stabbed with a knife, shot 4 times, and fell out of the top floor of a house, and he's still alive. This guy did come from 2 human parents, right?
And based on the fact that he survives all of those, that should have let you know that he's not simply human, my dude. And here's the end result, everybody. This in total was 153, and the sentence will be stalked by Michael. Thank you for watching, everybody, and happy Halloween.